Now, what we've seen as we start to talk about the structure of an incident management capability is that there are different ways that they can be institutionalized. Sometimes incident management is given to a designated group. We've seen this happen where it might be given to a computer security incident response team, or what we call a CSIRT. We've seen that happen in national or nation states have national CSIRTs. We've seen local, state, or provincial governments have their own CSIRT sometimes. We've seen CSIRTs established within educational institutions or research networks, like a DFN cert for the German research network. But very often what we've seen is that organizations may perform incident management as part of other security, information technology, or even risk management, business continuity functions. And what we've seen very often in industry, or sometimes the military, is that various parts of the incident management process is performed by a security operations center, a SOC. Very often the monitoring and detection part may be in that. Sometimes they get involved in analysis and response, depending on how they're structured and what their operating authorities are. Network operations centers looking for anomalous activity on the network and understanding and maintaining the network. Sometimes there's a combined NSOC, or Network and Security Operations Center, that performs the incident management functions. We've seen, even in industry, this fall under the crisis management team, or a piece of it fall under a crisis management team. If the normal daily activities for incident management require a more urgent response, sometimes a crisis management team takes over. We've even seen it institutionalized and called a resilience team in a few commercial organizations. So the key is, it's not what you call it that is the important part, but rather it's who's actually performing all those tasks. It's the functions. We care about the functions. And so understanding who's performing all these functions and understanding their roles and responsibilities is the key part about institutionalizing that incident management capability. We've also seen the incident management capability be a standalone organization. Again, that's usually maybe in a nation state. We've seen it be a specialized or expert group within a security operations center, or even sometimes an IT organization. We've seen it be a set of experts who are pulled together across the organization when something happens, so more an ad hoc virtual team. And we've seen it be part of a tiered approach, so where there's a help desk that gets initial calls, and as they identify problem areas, they pass it up to a tier 1 or tier 2 analyst who's actually doing the initial understanding of what's happened at the triage level, understanding the type of activity, and then passing it to higher level incident responder at a tier 3 or tier 4 who will actually work to coordinate the mitigation strategies and plans that need to be done to address that particular incident. So we've seen incident management capabilities institutionalized many different ways. There's not one right way, but what you need to think about is within your own organization, who's going to perform those functions, how are they tied together, what established communication channels and interfaces are in place to ensure that incident management happens as an enterprise activity and all the right people are aware of the steps that need to be followed and know what their role and responsibility is within that plan. When we look at then the types of activities at a lower level for incident management components, we very often see within the incident management structure the network monitoring, looking at and handling any type of alerts from sensors or other network monitoring tools. We look at that threat intelligence and situational awareness gathering as a key component of incident management. So understanding what's happening in the environment, understanding new attacks that might be going on, understanding what others are seeing, understanding what's happening on our network, understanding what's coming from our risk management process, and pulling that together to synthesize it and use that in our analysis to help respond to an incident, but also in preparing our defenses to help prevent incidents. We look at the incident reporting process. Are we only getting information from our network sensors, or do we also have email reports coming in? Do we have incident reporting forms that we ask people to fill out? Are we getting phone calls about incidents? Are we getting alerts from other organizations external to our business that might tell us about things? So how is incident reporting done? So incident reporting and its structures is a very important part of incident management, incident management process, and a large component of incident management. And then all the analysis, investigation, response. Do we have to put out warnings and alerts? Are those warning and alerts just for current malicious activity that we've seen, or is it for potential threats too? Other process relationships, we've mentioned a little bit of this earlier in this slide set, is that, or in this section, that we have to look also at the whole vulnerability management analysis and coordination processes. So are there vulnerability reports and vulnerabilities in particular software or hardware that are being exploited that allow a malicious actor to perform unauthorized activity that then turns into an incident within our organization? So you may be working with vulnerability management processes to understand vulnerabilities in software. They may be doing the ones that are actually doing the analysis to help you devise your mitigation strategies. And then also the same thing with patch management. As part of the response, there may be, if there's a vulnerability in play, there may be a patch that has been developed or a workaround that then has to be deployed. And that's not usually the incident management capability, but it's part of the vulnerability and patch management process. Very often, external to incident management, but working side by side, can be the group that performs any type of forensic evidence collection and then any media or digital media analysis. And we've mentioned the risk assessment and management, but also security awareness. There may be in training and notification another part of the organization that actually passes information on to the employees or the constituents in a preventative manner, but also to tell them that there's activity ongoing and they need to take specific actions to protect themselves. So those are relationships that are key to the incident management components, but they're not normally considered incident management processes or sub-processes or functions. But that's why it's important to have that coordination and collaboration and those interfaces with these different groups established ahead of time. Again, just different models of how we've seen some of organizations take the different functions that we've talked about here on the incident management components, take those components and piece them together. In example one, there was a security operations center, and then they had a separate group responsible for the incident response. So the SOC was responsible for monitoring, seeing the alerts, doing the initial triage, and then passing to the expert incident responders to then do more in-depth analysis and determine what the response and mitigation strategies were. There was other groups that then, if any type of forensics evidence collection had to occur or analysis, there was a separate media analysis group. There was a group responsible for threat intelligence, so actually pulling in and actively getting information from threat feeds or from others in the security community, or from looking at what was going on in the news, or looking at security sites and pulling information in. There was a separate firewall group that was responsible for maintaining the firewalls and putting any type of controls and blocks in place. There was a network operations center that was responsible for the maintenance and updates and upkeep of the network, and then noticing any type of anomalous behavior on the network that could get passed then, if it was a suspicious activity, to the SOC for review. There was a separate patch management group that deployed and tested, or that tested and deployed new patches. And there was personal security that looked at what type of security credentials were needed by staff within the organization, and then also looking at protecting facilities, so tying into physical security. So that was just one example. We've seen other examples where, in this case, there was a tier 1, so low-level entry reporting of incidents to a help desk. From there, it went to the next level, tier 2. That was the incident response group. If they could not do the complete analysis, they passed on to a tier 3 to perform more in-depth analysis, or if there was a patch to push out, that was handled by a separate group too. And then in other parts of the organization, or then those help desk, the tier 2 and the tier 3, all had ties into threat intelligence, the Security Operations Center, and the Network Operations Center. So just some examples of what we've seen out on the field.